Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out and I had to make the most adorable character ever, Baby Groot. I made a gigantic Groot into a structured standing cake. Now I have to be honest, I actually made this cake 3 weeks ago hoping to release it for when the movie came out, but alas, I was in Morocco on vacation and of course, my hard drive completely crashed. I was in the middle of editing and I lost a lot of it. So I'm so sorry. If some of the scenes are missing, I'll do the best I can. Sorry. But I'm back now and I finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Baby Groot is the cutest character I've ever seen in my life. And now that I've seen the movie, my Baby Groot is slightly more gigantic, slightly more terrifying, but I think he's still kind of cute. To begin, I made the structure underneath the cake so the cake would not collapse on me. I began by using 2 cake boards. The first smaller 12-inch board is going to go underneath the larger 14-inch board. In the 14-inch board, I made a hole towards the back of the board, making sure that the diameter of the hole will fit the plastic dowel I will be using to support the cake. I then used my trusty hot glue gun to glue the board together right in the center. I then put glue right into the hole and held my dowel in it for a minute to make sure that it held. I cut 2 smaller cardboard circles with a hole in it. One to go under the cake just to create a barrier between the glue, and the other smaller circle to be a small bit of support between the head and the body. Then make sure to glue down the bigger circle to the board. I made Baby Groot before the movie even came out, so I chose to make him from a scene from the trailer where he was eating Skittles and his plane was crashing. Adorable. Using a stencil when making a cake is always a great help. You can print it or you can draw it. I found a picture of Groot that I wanted to make and I tried to scale it as best as I could. This one was obviously way too big, but I made it into 2 pieces so that it's easier to actually mold with. You can also cut out the eyes and the mouth so that you have an idea of where you want the eyes and mouth to be by putting it onto the cake. I used 4 6-inch chocolate cakes for Groot's body. I stacked the cakes and used a dowel to make a hole through the whole pile so that they will easily fit onto my board. I then stacked my cakes onto the dowel, filling each layer with chocolate ganache. Using the stencil, use a sharp knife to carve the shape of the body. I made Groot a little fatter than his body actually is, just so that it would support his head. Then cover the body with ganache and put it in the fridge to cool. I made the head, arms, and legs with Rice Krispie treats. I didn't make this with butter to make it a little bit easier for sculpting. Mix melted marshmallows and Rice Krispies together and start to form the body parts, always looking back at your stencil. Once you're happy with your shapes, put them in the fridge to harden. Don't forget to make the eyes and mouth by making indents with your fingers. Once you're done the head, use an extra dowel of the same size to shove right through his head. You want to make the hole through his neck while he is still moldable. Otherwise, it'll be really difficult once you let his head harden. Make sure to only go halfway. You don't want the rod coming out the top of his head. I covered each body part in ganache as smooth as possible, getting rid of all of the bumps in the Rice Krispies. Put them in the fridge again to cool. I colored fondant to match what color I thought Groot would be. Turns out he should have been a bit more gray, but I was going for more of a wood type color. I mixed ivory and brown gel paste and white fondant and rolled out enough fondant to cover each piece separately. I covered each body part with fondant, using a sponge at the bottom when I had to cover the parts underneath. I know this video is probably only like 10 minutes long, but don't be fooled. Some cakes take a long time to make. And this cake in particular, I think took me almost 3 days. 3 days! My best advice, have a lot of patience. I used some cake decorating tools with a sharp tip at the end to carve out lines to look like Groot's tree-like skin while comparing it to the photos. Use your fingers and cake decorating tools to help you mold the eyes, nose, and the mouth. I made him look a bit shocked because, of course, his plane was about to crash. The best part about making Groot is that he's not perfect. He's a tree. So you can make the lines wherever you want. You can make the color whatever you want. You can make the leaves wherever you want. So throw your perfectionist self out the window. You don't need it today. To make Groot look a little more wood tree-like, I mixed ivory and brown gel paste with lemon extract and painted every body part and let it dry. I made Groot's eyes using dark brown fondant to fit the sockets, and then made his iris, if that's what it's called, making little black circles. I even added the little white catchlight things on his eyes. I used powdered colors to define Groot's features a little bit more. I used brown to highlight the indents a bit more all over his body, wherever I felt necessary. I then used moss green to add to his head to resemble the moss growing out of his head. Now to put Groot all together. Sorry for the lack of footage, but I actually did put 2 bubble tea straws into Groot's body before I put his neck on. You want to make sure that there's enough support for the head, especially when Groot's head is so big, so that it doesn't collapse into the body. Normally I would put more than 2 straws into his body, but because Groot's neck is so small, there was only so much fondant to actually conceal the straws. But it's all good, nothing collapsed, I'm happy. I placed a small bowl with Skittles in it to resemble what Groot was eating, right in the center, so I had an idea where the legs needed to be placed. I placed everything on the body first before sticking them on to gauge where I wanted them to be placed. I then put in some toothpicks in the legs and arms perpendicular so that they would go straight into the body. I attached them with a little bit of candy melts or melted chocolate to help them stick. I think that the key to making structured cakes or character cakes is to have an imagination. You are never going to have an exact model that's the exact right size of what you're trying to make. So have an imagination, map it out, do your research, look at lots of photos, and don't be afraid to make your own. Some things will work, some things won't. It's trial and error. Do your best and just have fun with it. Now before we're done, we have a few finishing touches. Groot needs hands. Using the leftover fondant from his body, I made hands to resemble long gangly fingers and then attached them to his arms. Don't forget to make lines on his hands, paint them with the same tree wood color, and highlight his indents with the brown powder. I also added little bits of green leaves that I made by hand. Again, this does not need to be perfect. I added the leaves, some stems, and vines anywhere I felt needed it, and then colored them with a little bit more of the green powder. Almost done. Now we just have to add the head. I put some melted candy melts onto the dowel and neck to make sure the head stayed in place, and then place the head right onto the dowel. Thank you so much for watching. I thought Baby Groot turned out adorable. I love him, and this is probably my most favorite cake that I've made to date. If you like this video and you like this cake, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions for what I should make for my next cake, please let me know in the comments below. Check out my last video over here, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel right over here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.